Greetings, metalheads. Welcome to No Nonsense Metal Reviews. I'm George, and today I'm back talking about yet another band. But this band isn't just any old band. This is one of the most revered bands in metal, one of the most dangerous bands in modern music, it seems to be. And they're also one of the bands that seems to command a really cult, really devoted fan base. A band formed in the mid 90s, originally in Australia. They've done a bit of moving around over the years and changed locations. There's also been quite a considerable number of lineup changes, personnel coming and going over the duration of their career. We are, of course, talking about the superb Destroyer 666. Now, this band, I've wanted to talk about Destroyer 666 in depth, at least, for quite a while now. I have, of course, talked about Destroyer 666 previously in a number of collection updates, where I've added bits and pieces from their discography, different versions and additions to the collection along the way. But I was really determined to talk about Destroyer 666. Wasn't really sure if it was going to be a band you need to hear or a collection reflection. Kind of somewhere in the middle. That's where we've fallen. They are definitely a band that you need to hear if you haven't heard Destroyer 666. If for no other reason than the fact that not only have they got some great albums, some brilliant material in their discography, but they're also incredibly difficult to pigeonhole. You cannot really comfortably slot Destroyer 666 into black metal, thrash metal, death metal, whatever little space exists in between in the Venn diagram of subgenre crossovers. They are so difficult to pinpoint exactly what they are. So for no other reason than just curiosity, check out Destroyer 666. But actually, I have kind of veered more towards doing a bit of a collection reflection because I have quite a lot of cool different versions of their releases. I've got tapes, CDs, and I've also got vinyl as well. So we're going to have a bit of a whistle-stop tour of a band that you need to hear, which is the mighty Destroyer 666. So as I said, they've been around since the mid-90s. They've undergone a lot of changes throughout their time so far. Originally, they were very much a strange meld of black metal, also quite a considerable amount of death metal in there, and I guess thrash or speed metal. And over the years, they have evolved and lent more in one direction than the other. At times, some of their albums are more black metal leaning, some are more thrash metal leaning. In latter years, they've actually pursued a slightly different path and have taken on more of a blackened speed or blackened traditional heavy metal sound, which works freaking well. Anything that Destroyer 666 tend to do is really good. So they do all of those styles really well. There isn't a bad release in Destroyer 666's catalogue. So let's start at the beginning then. The demo. This is I always get this the wrong way around, 6 songs with the devil. A demo, sort of EP length demo, released in 1994. So this was the first release from the band. Of course, this is a more recent digipack reissue, a very nice thing, a nice article to have. The music is not so nice. It's freaking awesome, but it is like a nuclear thrash bomb, just obliterating all within sight. And it is very good. It's not exactly the sort of whistle along, gently tap your foot along to tunes, definitely not. Not with cult classics such as An Endless Stream of Bombers and Like Bloody Rabid Wolves Unleashed from Chains. You kind of get the idea. This is energetic. This is full of attitude. This is evil stuff. And as it does say on the back here, death metal with that great big mushroom cloud is pretty fitting. And it is death. There is a death metal, black and death metal kind of thing going on there. But they do it, and they do it really well. So that is the first release, and that is one that I have on multiple formats because I do actually have it on cassette as well. Take that out to show you this nice blue shell. Very, very cool. Can't remember where on earth I got this from, but this was released via Gotawarex. Not quite sure on the pronunciation there. Shamefully, I just can't quite recall where this one was picked up from. But it's very cool. And I did actually listen to this earlier as a bit of a refresher. Listen to it again, and it is great. And it on that kind of cassette, really raw, acoustic, I guess, stripped back, original sound. It's really cool. It does sound great. Analog is the word I'm looking for there. So up next, we have the EP. Now the EP I also have on multiple formats. Don't have it on CD. But Violence is the Prince of This World includes some of the tracks from that demo and makes them even more nasty and raw. And again, it's like a nuclear blast just ripping your face off. Just show you this awesome cassette version. So this is a lovely article. It's actually an expanded version as well, so it does have some bonus tracks. This is released via, I think it's Messe Noir, Black Mass Productions. Limited edition of 300. This is 269, in fact. Very cool. And I would say this is a fair statement. Aware, beware, war. This sounds like war. And we've got some great tracks here. Again, we get inclusions of The Mighty, An Endless Stream of Bombers, which is such a great raw track. We've got Death Metal Winds Howl Again, which is just caustic and evil. And then we've got the closing track, which does appear again later down the line. We've got The Eternal Glory of War, which is a freaking great track. So this is a really brutal EP. Some cracking riffs there. The whole band is kind of the project of KK Warslut. Great name. And vocally, it's snarling. Very much a kind of black metal vocal style. I don't think it gives us a full breakdown here. No. But it's a very interesting band in that they've gone through so many changes, but the whole time it still sounds like Destroyer 666, which is testament to the brilliance of the band, I suppose. So in terms of other formats for that one, for the EP, I've also got it on vinyl. So this was picked up from, if I remember correctly, it was from Cult Never Dies, could be wrong. Violence is the Prince of This World on a very nice vinyl via Funeral Industries there. So this is a cool article to have. If I remember correctly, we've got a nice expanded insert here. Giant. Nice card there. Very cool. Blue. I don't know how easy it's going to be to see the colour scheme, but it's kind of like a smoky, orangey, yeah, interesting colour scheme, but very cool. I don't even know if I've listened to the vinyl version of this, but certainly the cassette has been spun a few times, and this is more for the diehards of Destroyer 666. It's probably not the best place to start if you wanted to explore Destroyer 666, unless you were just looking for probably the most raw and evil sounding material that they have produced. So then we're on to the next release, of course. We're on to the debut full-length album. Now this debut full-length album is a bit of a pain to try and get hold of here in the UK, unless you want to pay well above the odds for a reissue CD or vinyl. I actually have a cassette tape form. So this is a Hell's Headbangers release. I got this directly from Hell's Headbangers store, so shipped all the way from USA, and still cheaper than just getting a normal CD here in the UK, which is insane. So this is Unchain the Wolves. This is an interesting album in that this is actually a completely different beast altogether. Although, again, there's still similarities. You can still tell it's Destroyer 666. They are still very much a blackened band there, but it's kind of delving between black metal and blackened thrash at this stage. It's not quite, I guess, what they have gone on to become, which is very much a blackened thrash band. I'd say this is much more in the black metal field, but this is a good album. There's almost like a bit of a maturity to it. There's a real evil and a real dark sound to this album. Here we've actually got the lineup. So it is KK Warslut on vocals and guitars, Shrapnel on guitars, Bullet Eater bass and backing vocals, and Ballistic Howitzer on drums. Very fair, because it is savage, but it is a very, very interesting album. We get some great tracks here. In particular, and I won't go through every single track on all of these albums, but in particular, we've got Genesis to Genocide, which is a great, lengthy opening track. It's about 10 minutes long, if I remember correctly. Then we've got the rather savage and almost black and roll vibes of Australian and Antichrist. We've got Satan's Hammer, which is a great one. Spiritual Wasteland is a bit of a beastly track. Another long track in the form of the title track, Spiritual Wasteland. Unchain the Wolves, rather. Then we've got Damnation's Pride and the outro piece, Onwards to Arctoga, which is actually something that has appeared on the demo as well. So this, a cool album, a good album, not my favourite Destroyer 666 album, but a very good one. It's got a lot of potential and it shows exactly, I guess you can kind of get the vibe that they are going in that black metal direction very, very strongly, and you can see exactly where they're going next. So it's a good album, a good, strong debut. Quite sophisticated, really, considering the EP and the demo that preceded it. So then we are on to the second album. Trying to remember to get this all in the right chronological order. I believe this was released in 2000. I think the demo was released in 94, the EP in 95, and then I think it was 1997 for the debut. Could be totally off, but then we've got Phoenix Rising. Rising. This is a good album. I was actually quite slow to get into this one, I must admit. This is very much black and thrash, so it's a very good album. I think they've really found their stride by this point. Somewhere in the back of my mind, I feel that this album may have had an alternative artwork originally. Could be wrong, but this got a great cover. I love the intricacy and the detail of that Phoenix Rising. And thematically, Destroyer 666 do tend to gravitate back towards certain things, mainly wolves and being unleashed and all these big, uplifting, anarchic kind of themes. Themes of strength, spirituality. But as an album, this is really good. This is a really strong album. The sophistication in playing has stepped up a gear by this point. This is a very good album. Some great riffs. I mean, really top-notch riffs. And I would say that there is definitely a spiritual aspect to Destroyer 666. Certainly in some of the tracks, it is really evocative. It really does kind of take you somewhere else. You feel like you're being whisked off to some sort of celestial plane of ice. I don't know, that sounds deep, but great tracks here. Rise of the Predator is a killer opening track with a very sinister spoken word intro. Last Revelation, short and shocking. Got Phoenix Rising. I Am the War God is probably the best track on the album. It's freaking beastly. Ode to the Battle Slain. Eternal Glory of War. Love that song. Absolutely fantastic. The playing is amazing. KK Warslut's vocals. Really like the guy. Really like his vocal style. Really good. Lone Wolf Winter is a brilliant track. A real stunning standout moment. Ride the Solar Winds is brilliant as well. Those leads and the guitars, that's the kind of celestial sounding spiritual stuff that I was talking about. And The Birth of Tragedy as well. A really good album. a very strong follow-up, and I do prefer this quite considerably to the first album there. It's a brilliant album. Can't remember when I picked this one up, but it was not the first Destroyer 666 album I heard, but when I did hear it, I instantly fell in love with it in a big way. So, making sure we're keeping chronological here, we are on to the second album, which I feel like I might have got these in a bit of a jumble here. No, I think that's okay. Whew, relief. So we're on to Cold Steel for an Iron Age. This is probably my favourite Destroyer 666 album, depending on what time of the day you ask me. This was the first Destroyer 666 album that I listened to as well. I believe this was released in 2002 originally. This is a very good album. It's very much a black and thrash album, but it's a really strong one. We've got some cracking tracks here. The playing is brilliant across the board. Drumming is phenomenal. Vocals are awesome. The riffs are just a cut above a lot of black and thrash bands. A lot of black and thrash, black and speed bands. You know, there's a lot of great bands out there that do that kind of style, but a lot of them do tend to gravitate towards almost a bit of a Venom Motorhead inspired direction. Destroyer 666. This is cutting stuff. This is top level freaking thrash. Black City, Black Fire. Whoa, what an opening track that is. Absolute beast. There were Clenched Fist, which is just like a punch in the face. Cold Steel, brilliant, absolutely ripping stuff. Sons of Perdition, some of the riffs and some of the vocals are just incredible. Then we've got a little bit kind of risky and very sinister and just all round a little bit kind of risky Raped. A very touchy, difficult subject. But Destroyer 666 explain pretty clearly in the booklet what this is all about. But hey, yeah, I think even it's a bit too much for Spotify to include. So I say that they're quite heavily censored, of course. Enough of that. Just a great album. Still a good song, riffing. They've got The Calling, Witch Hunter, which is brilliant, and The Fall of Shadows, and the closing, The Dragon. Just a brilliant album. A really top-notch, great, high-quality album. Freaking love it. So good, in fact, I do have it on vinyl as well, and this is a silver and dark green mixed vinyl, strictly limited to 550 worldwide, including a poster, and re-edition including bonus track, The Dragon. Oh, okay, so the Dragon is in fact a bonus track. And a cool bonus track at that. So a nice gatefold. Show this very cool article off here. So we've got Versus on battery, S Berserker, bass vocals, KK Warsler, guitars, vocals, and Shrapnel. Recorded in 2002. Get that giant poster out. This is cool. It's always difficult when you get a lovely poster like this because you kind of feel like you want to have it up, but you don't want to damage it in any way. So a very cool poster, cool art there. The art from the reverse of the package. Pop that back in there. That artwork. And then we've got this interesting colour scheme, I will say. To me, that's just like a very dark green, but still very cool. And I picked this up on vinyl. I stumbled upon it on Amazon, probably a couple of years ago, in fact. And it was only about 12 or 13 pounds. It was one of those weird anomalies where, for some unknown reason, it's really cheap and you can't not get it, especially when it's a limited edition. And it just happens to be, like I say, probably my favourite Destroyer 666 album. And I don't want to damage it. There we go. So then we are on to the next album, which I kind of already previously alluded to in terms of full-length albums. But before I get to that, I am, of course, missing one crucial piece here. I think this was released in 2003. This is an EP entitled Terra Abraxas. Now, this is a good EP, I will say. Weirdly enough, I couldn't see it on Spotify, but it doesn't really matter. I have it on CD. Terra Abraxas, a good short and sweet EP, and it includes one of my favourite Destroyer 666 songs in the form of Trialed by Fire, which appears again later on. We've got some other brilliant tracks here: A Breed Apart, Those Who Dare Beyond, Terror and Prometheus. All really good. Very, very much along the same sort of lines as what we got on Cold Steel. Just more of the same brilliant Destroyer 666. But those are some good tracks. And I've also got it on tape. So this is another Massey Noir Productions tape. And this is 192 of 300 for this one. Show it off. I know I've shown this one off before in whatever collection update it was. I think this might have been a Vicious Witch Records purchase, or it could have been the CD. Either one came from there. Very cool. Just a nice piece to have, and a good release. A good interim release before 2009, so quite a gap, but the follow-up in 2009, I believe that's right. Yep, looks right to me. Defiance. Now this album is altogether way more extreme. This is a really freaking heavy album, and it's a really good album. I love this album. I think the songs are brilliant. The writing is really good. Really good. This is a really good album. Some fantastic songs. A little bit more of a kind of black metal, thrash metal, death metal, just in terms of the extremity kind of vibe there, but some really great tracks. Weapons of Conquest boots off the album and boots you in the teeth. Freaking heavy. We've got I Am Not Deceived, really anthemic, catchy stuff. Blood for Blood, which is a masterpiece. The Barricades Are Breaking. Again, it's very uplifting, it's very anthemic, it's very powerful stuff. Stand Defiant, Paths to Conflict. All really good. This is a really good album, start to finish. Just like Cold Steel, really good, start to finish. The closing track, The Truth, I believe, actually includes clean vocals, and really good clean vocals at that. Really soaring stuff. It's very passionate, it's very evocative stuff. A great album, an absolute boot to the head. Destroyer 666, Defiance, 2009, absolutely freaking crushes. Love it. So then we've got another quite considerable gap between releases, but in the interim, we had a compilation, To the Devil His Due, which came out in 2010. This is a recent Digipack reissue. Should say pretty much all of these except the tapes and I think Terra Abraxas. Season of Mist Records. So this was reissued in 2023. This is essentially a collection of odds and sods, loose ends, singles, bits and pieces from the band's career up to that point. It does include some good tracks though. Mainly the opening track, Satanic Speed Metal, which is a very fitting description because it is essentially satanic speed metal, thrash metal, whatever, but it's very, very good. So that's a particular highlight. The Siren's Call is really good as well. Lord of the Wild and Ghost Dance are good tracks. Through the Broken Pentagram, See You in Hell. This is, again, probably just like the demo and the EP. This is more for the fans. If you are already a fan, this is a completionist stuff. This is one you're going to want to hear so you know you've heard it all. And it is worth it. It's definitely worth a spin. It's not, some of the tracks aren't that well produced, or they don't sound that clear and crisp, but that's not really what it's all about. It's more good quality Destroyer 666, more excellent black and thrash, more excellent vocals from KK, more freaking amazing riff work, and some of it is much more fast and loose, kind of Venom vibe going on there. Like it. So we got To the Devil His Due. Then make sure I get these two the right way round this time. 2016. So I think this must be correct. This album, Wildfire. Now, weirdly enough, I actually have two different vinyl versions of this album. And I will explain why. Because I was looking for a CD, couldn't find a reasonably priced one. But then I stumbled upon a vinyl version on Amazon. And it was this one first. 8th pressing on black vinyl, 350 copies worldwide. 8th pressing, black vinyl. Not particularly special, not particularly unique. Amazing sleeve. Love the artwork on that one. Try and avoid some of the glare. Awesome. A truly brilliant album. Released in 2016, I believe. 2016, yeah. This album is much more kind of blackened heavy metal, blackened speed, bit thrashy. Definitely more towards the traditional heavy metal kind of vibes here. But I stumbled upon this and I ordered it, and I think maybe it got delayed, maybe it got lost, whatever. And then I ended up ordering a different version. There may have been some beers involved at the time, but I somehow ended up with two versions for the price of one, or something like that. And I'll get onto the other version in a minute. But our defiant metal rebels here. We've got KK, rhythm, solo, Vokes. We've got Pera, battery, Rowe, rhythms, and Felipe, bass, vocals. So yeah, we've got quite a considerable lineup change, which is probably where we can attribute the different flavours and musical direction to. But the result is a really freaking good album. This is one of my favourite Destroyer 666 albums. Kicks off with the absolutely stunningly brutal Traitor. That is just a riff whirlwind. Love it. Live and Burn. That's just pure rockin' black and thrash there. Hounds at Your Back. Anthemic beauty. Love it. What a track that is. Hymns to Dionysus. Whoa. Wildfire. White Line Fever. Die You Fucking Pig. Excellent stuff. Very mature. And then we've got the Tamam Shud, which is a longer, kind of got a bit of a folky vibe track going on there. I won't fight the just black vinyl out of the sleeve, but it's a great track. A really good album start to finish. This is a pretty unstoppable release. Freaking brilliant. And then, as I say, I've got another version. This is Silver and Black Marbled release. 550 copies worldwide. Everything else is exactly the same, but I will show you the vinyl colour. If I can wrestle it out of here. This is just a great album. This is a really good album. So, again, with every release, and credit to Destroyer 666, every release is different. They sound different every time. They keep it original, keep it interesting, keep it varying. It's great. And it's a nice vinyl version there. I really do love this album. So after this, we do have an EP, which was one of the first releases that I picked up. First album I remember ordering and listening to was Cold Steel, and also the Call of the Wild EP. I was essentially just picking up whatever I could find accessibly and reasonably priced on Amazon, but this is 4 tracks, Digipack, 2018, Season of Mist Records. 4 tracks long in total, including a re-recording of the brilliant Trial by Fire. And it really does sound spectacular, I have to say. Freaking love this little recording. It kicks off with Violence is Golden, which is awesome. This is very blackened heavy metal, blackened speed metal kind of stuff. Awesome stuff though. Stone by Stone, which is brilliant. And Call of the Wild. 4 really good tracks. I think for me the standout is Trial by Fire re-recording, because I freaking love that track. But actually, Violence is Golden is really catchy and anthemic. Some great guitar work here. Drums are brilliant. vocals great. The whole thing is really, really good. Another sterling release, no surprise at all. And then that brings us up to date to the most recent album. This was released in 2022, I believe. This is called Never Surrender. And in this form, we've got the nice clamshell box set. I think Season and Mist do quite a lot of these, and they do them really quite well. So let's take this out of here. We've got a nice digipack, nice fat digipack here. Very nice indeed. And actually, this is a really good album, I would say. This is the most heavy metal. This is the most kind of far removed from that, from the EP and the demo. This is a great album, though, I must admit. It's got some great tracks here. Never Surrender is brilliant. Andrastra, I'm not quite sure on the pronunciation. Second track is brilliant. Guillotine, Pitch Black Night, awesome. Grave Raiders. Some of these tracks do have that kind of black and roll, that heavy metal kind of stomp. There's a bit of a new album influence here, and I think that's fair to say. There is definitely a new album nod with Never Surrender and also Wildfire as well. Rather Death, Batavia's Graveyard, awesome stuff. Just a really good album. And in this version, we get a nice patch as well, diamond-shaped patch, which is very cool, and a pretty cool sort of pendant as well, which I haven't actually opened, but heavy-duty stuff. A really good album. Actually interested to know if there was any more lineup changes after Wildfire. Notice the little slogan has changed from Aware, Beware, War to Know thyself, know thy enemy, never surrender. I like that. Awesome emblem on the front there. Have we got our lineup here? That is a very good question. So we've got guitars on Savage Rights. We've got Kev. Backing vocals Felipe. Gang vocals Yada Yada. Lyrics KK. Felipe, Kev, and KK is our lineup. So yeah, they just keep evolving. Number of lineup changes, but as I said earlier, still sounds like Destroyer 666. And it's a very good album. Very good album. I do look forward to hearing what they come up with next, of course, but solid. So then I have one other article, and that is the only Destroyer 666 shirt that I have, and the only one that I found all that readily accessible here in the UK. I believe this is Wildfire era. Nice big bold red logo. Skull, of course, with a nice scythe. And on the reverse, we've got a Reaper riding away. Very cool indeed. I do like this shirt a lot. Very cool. So, there we have it. My collection reflection of, I guess, blackened death metal, speed metal, thrash metal, heavy metalers, Destroyer 666, a band that is incredibly difficult to pin down. They've travelled the world, they've relocated themselves a number of times, they've had many lineup changes, but they are a very unique band. A very, very unique band indeed. I don't know how else to really describe them other than just being a really awesome and very unique band. A very, very unique singular band. A bit of a one-off, in fact. So just to backtrack very quickly, the demo from 1994, 6 songs with the devil, acoustic abrasive release, which is definitely one for the fans, as is the Violence is the Prince of This World EP, an absolute nuclear thrash explosion, punch in the face. The grander Unchain the Wolves black metal debut album, 97. Then the rather excellent second album, Phoenix Rising, absolutely brilliant, incredible playing on there. We've got the second album, Cold Steel, in multiple formats. A brilliant album, one of my favourites. That's definitely one, if you're going to just check out one album, check out that one. Then we have Elsewhere, Defiance, the awesome, very extreme album that it is. was it got Terra Abraxas, which was in between those two. Very good album. Well, very good EP. Stopgap release. And we got To the Devil Is Due, which is another awesome one. Trying to keep this in relative chronology. Wildfire. Brilliant album. Again, just like Cold Steel, if you fancied just checking out one or two, I'd say this is probably another essential listen. Then we've got the EP, Call of the Wild. And most recently, we have Never Surrender. KK, Warslut and company just making amazing music throughout the years and across the board. So, my friends, what are your thoughts and opinions on Destroyer 666? If you've never heard of them, I implore you to check out Destroyer 666. They're a band you need to hear. But if you are a fan, what are your favourite albums? What are your favourite Destroyer 666 albums and tracks? Let me know. Interested to hear thoughts and opinions of others as always. Hope you've enjoyed this humble collection reflection. A lot of stuff to go through here, but hopefully you've enjoyed seeing my different versions. What versions have you got? What different cool articles have you got of Destroyer 666 in your collection? Interested to hear, of course. But thanks again for watching. Do feel free to like, subscribe, share, comment. The support is very much appreciated. Do check back soon for more reviews and recommendations of all the good, heavy things. Until next time, my friends, do take care of yourselves. Listen to Destroyer 666 and stay heavy.